Howdy everyone, this is Boone, and today I'll be going through one of the reference materials from the Merchant Marine Deck Examination. This will be the video over the reprints from the tide tables and tidal current tables. This reference PDF is split into two parts. Part 1 being the tide tables and Part 2 being the tidal current tables. It is a very clear distinction that you know the difference between both of these. This is because you do not want to get confused and search for one when you're trying to find the other. In this video, I will be showing you the most efficient way to go about finding your reference materials and your tables for both sections. First, I want to give you the page numbers that each part is contained in. So if we go down here just a little bit, you will see that this is the tide tables and tide current tables, part 1, part 2. Scroll down a couple more, you will see this first section is part 1. Part 1 covers tide tables. This is important to know. And then part 2 covers the tidal current tables. So here is the page numbers. Page 1 through 136 is tides, and page 137 to 274 is currents. So let's go to 137, and it should look exactly like this, just it should say tidal currents, and it does. This covers from Atlantic coast to of North America, and between these two parts, this will answer every single U.S. Coast Guard question that you can be asked on the exam. It is a very important document to know how to navigate. Another useful tool to help you navigate is the Find feature. The Find feature can be used by hitting Control F on a Windows machine, or the universal for this application, which is Adobe Acrobat Reader DC, is Edit and push Find. Will prompt you the same box. This becomes very helpful when you are given a location and you are trying to quickly find where that location is on it. A great way to know which is in which, bad phrasing, but if you're doing a tidal problem, how do you know that the thing you're looking up for is a tidal information? Well, if it's between pages 1 and 136, it is the right material you're looking for. Some of these places are in the heights as well as the tide heights as in the tidal currents. So you want to make sure you're using the correct one or it will screw up your problem. Though, I do say that it is hard to put in tidal current information into a tidal heights problem. Though it could happen. Hate to see it though. So I will be going through the some important page numbers for tides and then currents, and then I'll show you how to do this with an actual problem. I won't be solving a problem, I'll just be showing you how to use the reprints. Here is the important info for the tides. Tide index starts on page 119. Oopsie. This is all the tide stations listed in alphabetical order. If you are given a problem and you have the physical copy, you look at the location and then you're like, okay, let's go to the index. And once you start the index, then you're like, okay, here's my station number. Now that I have my station number, then I can go to table 2 and find the reference material. And then I go to table 1 and you're able to do the problem from there. Since we have Control F available, we don't really need to do, if you want to double check or just strictly use the index is here for you, but we have Control F and it basically solves our problem because we're able to distinguish, oh, Newfoundland is both in the tidal heights and tidal currents. How do I know if it's the tidal heights? Well, if it's between the pages of 1 and 136, it's the tides, and the currents is between 137 and 274. It's a very, as long as you know I'm in the right section, you're going to do fine. It's hard to mess up from there because multiple are listed in both. So now that you know the index, let's go to table 1. I'll just show you what they should look like. If you've done a tidal heights problem before, you have seen this before. It's impossible to do without it, and it includes all the ones for the relevant U.S. Coast Guard examination questions. Very useful, and some of these have multiple pages, and this goes from 16 to, I believe, 80 or something like that right here. So 78. And these are a lot of pages with a lot of different info, so you want to know how to navigate that. Table 2 will tell you how to navigate that. So if we go back to 82, 82 is table 2. As I'm sure you've used in a tidal heights problem, you find where your station is. Let's say we're using Steel Harbor Island. We're able to get our information from these columns right here, and then we're able to find our reference station on page 32 and subtract out the differences to make Steel Harbor correct. So if we go to page 32, we're able to see all that information, and it will not be close to 32. Actually, it might. It is kind of close, but the page numbers are different on here than it is. Actually, it's hard to say, but it's just weird because it's not correctly numbered, because it has to skip around a lot to get the relevant Coast Guard questions. But now that we've come to Portland, Maine, this is where it starts. Then we find the correct month and then day, and then we're able to get the correct information for the problem, and you're able to solve the problem from there. I won't go into in-depth on how to do these problems. I've already done before on the channel. Table 2 shows you how to use table 1, and then table 3 is probably the most important one because it's your corrections. And if you don't have a printed copy of table 3 already, I highly suggest it. It is one thing I personally cannot do on the PDF is go from here and go across. I just use my fingers, and I have a printed copy sat right next to me when I do these problems. So now that we have covered the important information in the tide part of the book, let's go to part 2, and let's look at the important information for. Let's look at the important information for tidal currents. So there we go. Here's the current important information. So the index for the currents starts on 265. We go to 265, you'll see it starts at the A's and goes all the way down. You need to make sure that the reference station and substation you're using are found within this page range, because, like I said, they can overlap between the tides. There's 4 main tables within the currents. If you need to find table 5 or 6, it's subsequently after. But this is the index. It works just the same, but I'm just trying to show you the PDF where it starts there in case you want to reference it. I highly suggest using the Control F feature. It works really good. But if you are bent on using the index, here's where it starts. Table 1 and Table 2 operate similarly to the tide of height problems. So if you know how to do that, you know how to do this. And I'll be releasing videos on how to do the current problems. Oopsie. So same type of problems, but it just gives you ebb and flow information instead of tide of height problems. Table 2 is on 204. And it has the same format to the tidal heights, and you can't really see the pages anymore because it's sideways, but you're able to read them better. And it's the same type of format. You use this information right here to find the information to reference in table 1. But 2 more important documents that are found within the currents is table 3 and table 4. It's kind of like table 3 for tidal heights, where you just can't do the problem without it. You can't do a velocity of current at any time without this table. Now, something to point out is that you need to know which table to use. Table B is for Cape Cod Canal, Hell's Gate, Chesapeake Bay, Delaware Canal, and all, and use table A for everything else. So you need to know which one to use for the velocity of time, and then duration of slack. You will be using table 4, like right here. It is found on page 233. Now that you know all that, I'm going to go through 2 example problems on how to find the given information. So 1247 is a predicted velocity one, which is the tidal current problem. So it calls for 2 miles west of southwest ledge. So we're going to do Control F method first, and then I'll do the index way second. Southwest, and then ledge. There's 3 times southwest ledge is used in the PDF. And then, if you can see right here, southwest ledge, and then the one we're looking for, southwest ledge, 2 miles west of, just like it says in the problem, 2 miles west of southwest ledge. And then you account for the other features, and it is right there. Though, we can try out the other method of going to the index first. So the index is found on page 265. And we're going to go down to the S's. And then we're going to find the south. Should be close. Southwest ledge. Southwest ledge is 2211 and 2216. And we can go back up to table 2 and find 22. Actually, what page? 204. 2211. Southwest ledge and 2 miles west southwest 2 miles west of. Either method works great, and you were able to find the correct information for this problem. And then problem 1248 is a tidal height problem. So we're going to put in new URGH. Has 4 uses within the book. So 219. Well, that's in the current section of the book, so it can't be that. Plus, it's using ebb and flood. And then this is the current index, so it can't be here. And then we see it's 92, and it has tidal information. It has tidal height information instead of tidal current. And then we see it's 1545, but to double check it, we're going to push enter one more time, and we see that 1445 is Newburgh, New York, which is in the tide station of the book. And sorry, the problem was kind of blocking where I was referring to. So that is basically how to find the get information. And let me go through, sorry, the last thing I was going to do was use the index for the tidal height problem. So we're looking for Newburgh, so we're going to go down to new and Newbury, New York is 1545, and we can use that subsection and go all the way to table 2. 15. Table 2 is in numerical order, so it makes it really easy. 15, 15, 15, 45, and we get Newburgh. So either method works great. I prefer to use Control F. It's a lot faster. As long as you know that you're in the correct range, you're fine. Hopefully this has cleared up a lot of questions referring to tidal heights and tidal currents. Please let me know if you have any other questions. Thanks again.